Time now for our daily focus report, and we look at child marriage in a part of the world you might not expect, the United States. In California, for instance, there is no age limit if minors have parental consent. And it's not alone. 48 of the 50 states permit children under 18 to marry under similar circumstances. Advocates say it makes it impossible to pursue some cases of child abuse. And that means, for better or worse, every year, tens of thousands of minors take on a major, life-changing commitment. Our team on the ground reports.
I was 15 years old in this picture, and it was like right before I went to visit my dad. My dad sat me down and told me that I was going to get married. My dad told me to go talk to somebody who was like sitting in a cafe, and it was this man, and he said that that was who was picked for me to marry. So I kind of went over there, and it was weird. I mean, he was an older man. He was 28. I was 15. There wasn't much to talk about.
California is one of the many states in America where there is no minimum age to get married with parental consent.
We got married at this little chapel. Nobody asked me if I was okay. And to be honest, I don't know that I would have been able to respond to that question, are you okay? I don't think I was aware of what was even happening to me at that time. I was just going along with it. After the spiritual wedding, I was basically physically just handed over to him. So I just went from being like a girl to a wife in the matter of like one night.
Sarah Tasneem's wedding was not an isolated case. The non-profit group Unchained at Last says 200,000 children were married in the U.S. between 2000 and 2015.
In California, there's no law against child marriage. And what we know from some recent research is there are children in the United States as young as 8 who are getting married.
Kristen Zaleski is a therapist and social studies professor.
Can you, as an adolescent, truly understand what marriage is and the legal ramifications of that? You can't rent a car, right? If you're under the age of 18, but we're allowing minors to enter into a legal document of marriage.
Zaleski's research shows that child marriage is not always linked to religion, but more often to cultural and family traditions.
For Latino community, because I'm a Latina, right? If that's just what your culture does, like you just follow through with it. And like Professor Zaleski said, like you're almost coerced into it, and so you don't really have a choice. And so for me, since it's something that you don't really have a choice in, I just thought it was like normal, right?
Zaleski condemns the legal inconsistency. In California, an adult having sex with a minor is considered statutory rape unless you're married.
So if you're 13 and having sex with a 23-year-old, I would report that as child abuse. But now that they have entered into a legal marriage, I no longer can protect that child. And so that concerns me as a social worker.
In the San Francisco Bay Area, a state senator decided to change the law. In March 2017, Jerry Hill discovered a 12-year-old girl was about to get married in his district. He proposed a measure to ban child marriage outright.
Was surprised, and I said, well, that can't be. I mean, we're in California. That doesn't happen in California. So I did some research, and we found out that, yes, it can happen in California, and it does happen in California. So that's where we started. We said no one should get married below 18. And I thought it was a no-brainer, that this was something that everyone could get behind. And then we saw some quick resistance coming in.
Several organizations opposed the bill, including Planned Parenthood, known for protecting the health and mental well-being of minors. The group declined our request for an interview.
Planned Parenthood resisted the legislation because they allow or feel that a minor, someone under 18, should be able to make decisions on their own when it comes to family planning, birth control, reproductive rights, and that if we were to put a restriction on marriage, then how could they support that if they allow them not to have any restrictions on making other decisions?
After a year and a half of negotiations, California passed a new law.
Ayes 37, no 0. The Assembly amendments are concurred in.
But it was a compromise. There is still no minimum age to get married, but a more thorough approval process was created for minors.
SB 273 requires that the minor and the adult intending to marry be interviewed separately by Family Court Services and the judge, and requires the judge to consider whether there is evidence of coercion or undue influence on the minor.
The compromise did not satisfy Tasneem.
I don't think that children should be allowed to marry. I think that marriage should be entered into willfully by two adults who want to be married. This one right here, the greenish.
Tasneem lived in this house with her 2 children. After 7 years of marriage, she was able to get a divorce.
Because I really fought for my education. And that helped, it helped me become financially stable enough to be able to leave.
Tasneem has remarried and her kids have grown. Her personal struggle inspired her to become an outspoken survivor. But many others remain trapped, as child marriage still occurs every day throughout the United States.
All right, that's it from me. But Eve's back in the studio with a look at what's coming up over the next hour. Eve.
Thanks, Will. Well, in the next hour, we're going to cross live to Turkey to Jasper Mortimer's to get his take on that speech made by President Erdogan on the Khashoggi case. It promised to reveal all. It did call the death a murder and promised answers. But did it tell the whole truth? Find out more after the break.